Welcome to Theater Crafts, where we take theater memorabilia and make brand new treasures. So today, we have a good one for you. Today we're going to take playbills. You probably have a bunch of them. I have tons of them at my house. And we're going to use the images from the playbills, and we're going to create switch plate covers. So you see here, there's one that's Spamalot right there. We've got and Juliet right there. We've got 6 right there. So what I've done is I've taken images from the playbills, from inside the playbills, and I've created these switch plate covers that you will put basically where your light goes, and you see the center there, where the toggle switch goes. They're a single and they're a double switch plates. You can also do it for the plugs as well, but we're going to do these switch plate covers today, and stay tuned. This is a good one.
Okay, so I'm at the workbench, and these are the materials you're going to need to create these switch plate covers. So obviously you're going to need playbills, and I'll get into the types of images you can use for your particular switch plate cover. You're going to need, I used Mod Podge. I used the gloss. You could use, they have a matte finish, they have a satin finish, whatever works for your particular taste. You need a paintbrush and a craft knife so that you can cut out where the toggle switch goes. All right, so I'm going to put these aside for right now. Put this aside for a moment. So basically, these are the switch plate covers, and open this up so you can see exactly how it comes. I got this at my local hardware store. I'm going to be honest, this was 45 cents. So they're pretty economical. You can get the really inexpensive, just plain colored ones. They come in the packaging with the screws so that you can screw it into the wall. So just make sure you hold on to those screws. You are going to need them at the end, obviously, to affix it to your actual switch plate on the wall. So put that aside, and we're going to use this first. So prior to that, you're going to need to come up with your image. So I have playbills here. You can use anything. I'm going to be honest. I've used sheet music for these switch plate covers, but I thought these playbill images would be really fun. I have tons and tons of playbills. Whenever I go to see a show, I grab extras from my family members if they're not going to keep them, so I'll hold on to theirs as well. So what you can do is go through and find an image that might work for your size of your switch plate. Because if you remember in the switch plates that I showed you, some of them are double size and some of them are an individual switch plate. So this is an individual switch plate. But this image could conceivably work. It's a little bit big, and you wouldn't be able to get the name in there. Let's see. This one you could potentially, you lose the name. So that one's a little tricky. You're going to just be aware of size. I did take some of my images from this playbill. So the Aunt Juliet, you see, I got from that. I'll show you. This is the Aunt Juliet switch plate that I got from this image right here. So that's pretty cool. And then I got, let's see, can you hear my cat meowing? Let's see, I've got this. I actually thought might be a good image, but it's hard to get them in this, you can't get Lion King and Aladdin. That seems kind of weird, or the image of Aladdin and Lion King, that seems a little odd, so that doesn't seem to match up with the size. And then let's see, 6. This is, I did get this one. Now, on my original, this was a double plate, And so if you have this type of setup in your particular room, you could certainly use this. So that was right from that image there. You see that? And then the last one I also got out of here is... Oh, it's the cover image right here. And that's this image right here. Got it right off the cover. So there are so many options. I love the images in here are so colorful, and they're a great option for this particular design. I'm going to try this one today. It might be a little weird. You've got to think about like the placement of where this toggle will go. And so looking at this, the toggle may end up on his nose, which might be kind of fun. I'm not sure. We'll have to see how that works. So basically, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this right out of, kind of hurts me to do this, honestly, to be honest. Okay, just take that right out of the playbill. Okay, and you see that will go there. Now, we might want to think about placement. So like the nose is there, maybe the placement here. You want to be careful of where the screw holes are too. You don't necessarily want those to be like right in the middle of an eye or something. That would look really strange. Of course, it would be right in the middle of his forehead. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. It might be weird. Okay, so you're going to take your Mod Podge. This is quite a straightforward process. You're going to take your Mod Podge here. Okay, and your paintbrush. Now, I actually am going to paint it first. I'm going to cut it after I put the first coat on, and that's going to sound a little backwards, but it'll make sense in a minute. So you're going to take your paintbrush and you're going to cover it with Mod Podge. And you don't have to have that much on it. That was a little much. And I'm just going to put Mod Podge over just the top, not on the sides. That'll make sense in a couple of minutes. Okay. And you don't want to goop them into the holes either, because they don't want to clog up those holes. You're going to use those for the screws later when you mount it. Oops. Okay. It's very slippery. Okay. So then I typically will take this and let's see. I try putting it like this. I'm just going to try flipping it upside down. Now you want to have enough space. I can see where that, I don't know if you can see here, but I can feel where that hole is for the toggle. You do need to have some space on the sides because you are going to wrap it around. That's not a ton of space there, but hopefully that will work. So the nose is right, the toggle's right here. So it's going to be right on the nose there. Okay, so what you want to do is once you get that down, I'm going to add a little bit more here because I pulled it up. And try to like make it nice and even. And you want to really make sure you flatten that out. Otherwise you're going to get air bubbles in there, and that ultimately will affect the final look of your switch plate cover. And if you do, there are ways to get around that, and I'll show you how to do that later if we end up having to deal with that. All right, so I'm going to flip this upside down, and I'm going to cut away the excess here. So again, you want to have some excess. I feel like that's not quite enough, but we didn't have a lot of options based on where our image was on the page. So I'm going to actually make it a little bit bigger on the other sides here, because you want to wrap it around, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. Okay. Okay. Oh, so that looks actually kind of cool like that. We'll see how that goes with the toggle in the middle there. Okay. So you can see there's some bubbles actually there in the middle. I'm trying to push it down a little bit. The other option is when you get those bubbles. You can maybe even poke. I have a little craft knife here. You could just poke a little hole, and sometimes that will help to flatten it out. That's actually where a screw is, so that's not going to be an issue later. But here, just a tiny little hole, and then try just kind of flattening that out. These may flatten out a little bit, so it might be that I put a little bit too much of the Mod Podge on. All right, so now you're going to cut a diagonal at the corners, and that's so that we can fold over the corners and glue those down. Okay, see that? All right, now I'm going to do the sides here first. And I'm going to add some, you can see that, add some glue right in here. Again, not a ton. You don't want to glop it on because that will cause it to bubble and wrinkle, and that's not what you're going for. So I'm adding a little bit of glue there. Then you're going to roll it. See how I'm rolling it there to get it around that edge, and then you will pull it down onto the back. And I hold it in place. It takes a moment for it to adhere, but it will adhere once you hold it in place for a moment. See? Looks pretty good. Okay. And we will add more glue onto that afterwards. All right, and now this side, we're going to do the same thing. Now this side, we don't have as much of a lip there. We don't have as much to roll over. It's still going to be fine. There's not quite as much. Okay. Again, you're going to roll that over. See how that looks. And then, like I said, there's not quite as much here, so it's going to be a little bit trickier to adhere. It doesn't have as much surface to adhere to. Just hold it for a moment and get that stuck. You know, it's funny, when I was growing up, I was probably in middle school, I made these all the time around my house. I think my parents drove my mother crazy, because I would be going into a room and like, I'm going to theme this room, like the living room or the laundry room or whatever, and I would create these switch plate covers, and I would design them and paint them or add magazine pages or flowers or anything like that, and so they were all over the house growing up. Okay. Maybe add more onto that later. All right, now we're going to do the top and bottom. Now you're going to notice the corners are going to get a little bit kind of bunchy. Don't worry about that for right now. We'll fix that. Okay. It's a little bit, like I said, it's a little bit easier if you have a little bit more to fold over. It's going to be easier to adhere. Isn't that great? It's cool. All right, in the top here. If you notice, I put some paper over my workstation. Just this glue can get really gummy on your workstation, so you might want to protect wherever you're working, just to make sure that you don't get glue all over your table or wherever you're working. Okay. All right, so that looks pretty good in the back. Now, if you notice, the corners are a little wonky, but we're going to fix that in a little bit, so don't worry about that right now. So now we're going to take very, very little bit of the Mod Podge. Don't go crazy with the Mod Podge here, because again, if you add too much, it's going to bubble on you and it's going to wrinkle, because after all, it's paper, right? And so you want to just give a very, very light coat on this. Okay, and you're going right over where we haven't cut, obviously, where the toggles and the screws go yet. That we'll take care of later. The colors in this are great. I like it. All right, and so that's on the top. I'm just going to do, again, very little bit on the sides. You want the sides to be nice and solid too. My hands can get very sticky with this. It's very sticky. Okay. All right, so I'm going to be honest, I kind of blow it. Like blow on it a little bit to help dry it a little bit. You can just leave it for like a minute or so and let it dry just a little bit. And I'm going to go off. I'm going to shut off the camera, let it dry for a minute or so, and then I'll be back. Okay, it's been about a minute, and I'm going to go back. It's just dry to the touch. So I'm going to go back and put another very, very light coat on this. Again, light is better. You want a very, very light coat. If you put too many very thick coats, like I said, it's going to wrinkle on you. That's not what you want. You would rather build up and get the strength that way. The idea is that we're going to build this up so that you can, when you put it on your switch plate, you can eventually wipe it down with a cloth. Switch plates obviously get dirty because you're constantly touching them with your fingers, and so it's nice to be able to just wipe it down. Okay, so now we're going to do those corners that I had mentioned. So I'm going to put a little bit on the corner, on each of these top corners, and then honestly, I'm just going to kind of smoosh it down. Okay, just kind of smoosh that down a little bit, and so that it's nice and covered. You want to get that covered. Into the bottom as well. Just put a little bit on there, a little bit on there. Okay, and again, just smoosh those in so they're covered. Okay, and now we're going to let that dry for another couple of minutes. I'll be back. Okay, it's been a couple of minutes. I wanted to just note that I washed my brush in between. The reason for that is in a couple of minutes, you'd be surprised how much this will dry. And so you really want to protect your Mod Podge, protect your brush so that it doesn't dry and you won't be able to use it. So again, I'm going to add another very light coat for this. Overall, I'm probably going to add maybe 5 or 6 coats, so that it is, like I said, washable with, just like a damp cloth. I'm adding a little bit more this time. Get on the sides. Okay, a little bit of bubbling. I don't know if you can see that. I think it'll overall be fine. But there's a little bit of bubbling in there. Okay, I'll let that sit. I did have a little bit of bubbling with this one too. I don't know if you can see it. It actually looks much better now that it's dried, but there was some bubbling on the sides here. It looks a lot better. This one was a lot, although there's a little bubble. I don't know if you can see, there's a little bit of a bump there. I think that once, if you did, I did, like I said, a gloss finish, but if you did a matte finish, it might not show up as much. And this one looks pretty good. There's a little bit of a ridge there, but I think it'll be fine. All right, so I'm going to let this one dry. I'm going to give it a little bit more time, maybe 10 minutes or so, and I will be back. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes. So I'm going to show you, I'm seeing that there's a little bit of bubbling right, there's some right here, but that's going to be covered by the toggle. There's some right here. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm taking my craft knife. I'm just going to poke just a tiny little hole and see if I can get that to lay flat. Yeah, that helped. This is where the other, right here, there's a little bubbling, but that's where the screw is. I'm going to put a little hole there and see if I can get that to lay flat. There's a little bit of bubbling down here. And that's, can you hear my kitty in the background? Okay, so now we're actually going to cut open the hole. So if you turn it over in the back, you're basically going to cut like a big X from corner to corner. Okay, so you're going to cut an X. It's kind of wonky, but it'll work. Cut an X to the other corner. A little bit of a wonky X, but you get the idea. So you can see that right there. Okay, so now we're going to, oops, hang on, I grab my paintbrush. Okay, and now we're going to actually glue that, we're going to glue that onto the back so that we can have the toggle. Cut this a little bit there. Okay, so I'm going to do the sides first. I've got my glue here. Now this is a little bit smaller, so it does make it a little bit fiddly to try to get that in there. Okay. I pull it down and hold it just so that it will adhere to the back. There you go. See, pretty easy. And then on the other side, I didn't give myself as much room on the side. Make it work. All right, I'm gonna glue that. It's hard when your fingers get all gummy. Okay, get it there. Okay, and then do the top and bottom. Let's see if you just pull it. Top and bottom is a little bit easier because it's longer. And pull that, and then smush that down. Okay, let's see how that looks in the front. So then I will often just kind of make sure that we are really, that's not so bad, is it? With the nose right there. All right, so now I'm going to add another layer. I'm going to add a little bit of a thicker layer this time of the Mod Podge so that we can make it really sealed. And just kind of adding a little bit more into that area so that that's sealed in there as well, because we haven't given that as many coats, obviously, as the front. And don't forget the sides and those corners too. Just want to make sure those are well sealed. People at least know what it is, right? I think it'll be funny with the toggle as his nose. Okay, all right, so that's got quite a bit more of the Mod Podge on it this time. So I'm going to give it a good probably half hour to cure. And don't forget to wash your brush so that it doesn't dry out. All right, I'll be back in about a half hour. Okay, so it's been about 30 minutes and this is nice and dry. Like I said, we have a little bit of bubbling here, a little bit of, but I think that's gonna be fine. So the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take your craft knife and remember we're going to use, remember those screws that we pulled out earlier? We need to actually create the holes for those. Now, I don't know if you can see them. I can feel the indentation there, just right there. You're literally just going to take your craft knife and put a hole in there. I put a little, it's kind of a little cross in there. This is going to be covered up by the screw when you screw it into the wall. And I can feel there's the one right there. And the little cross in there, and that's all you really need, because once you you're going to take the screw heads and you will put those screw heads right into that hole right there, and that will get screwed right into the wall. Now, I'm going to be honest, like I might in this particular case paint that yellow so that it blends right in with the face, so that way it's not quite so noticeable. Same thing with the others too. So like in this case, this will be black right here, and down here it's kind of gold. So you could always go in and with just a little bit of paint once you get it into your wall and touch it up so that it coordinates with the image. So here they are. I love these. I just think they really personalize your space. And like I said, you can do so many different types of paper. You can use a sheet music. You could use scripts. You can use programs from your own shows. Maybe have your name on it with the program information, or maybe you went stage dooring and you got the autograph of somebody that you really like. You could make a photocopy of that and then put it on one of your switch plate covers. There's so many options here. Like I said, scripts, just about anything. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I love this project, and I hope you personalize your space with this. It'll be really fun to see. If you have any other shows, or if you have any that you've done, I'd love to see pictures. Feel free to send those to me at theatercrafts@gmail.com. I would love to see what you've done. Thanks so much, and I will see you next week. Bye.